What's up, everybody? This is Battlefield97 here, and I'm finally going to give you a review on Watch Dogs for the PlayStation 4. And it's also available on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox One, the Xbox 360, the PC, and a Wii U version coming this fall of this year. Now, getting all that platform availability out of the way, I can at least give you some sort of a synopsis of my experience with Watch Dogs. But first, I wanted to at least talk about the hype, the build-up for this game, because as many of you know, after seeing that show-stopping E3 2012 debut of the game, seeing like this hacker who like is mysterious and all this other kind of stuff, using his phone, getting through the environment, it was just something that I never seen it before. To be honest with you, like going through the environment with this hacking, and while there was a little bit of shooting, Ubisoft did advertise this game of your phone being the weapon, and you, the hacker, can get through anything of the sort without even pulling a trigger. Well, I hate to be the one to, get bad news, but this game is a third-person shooter with hacking, coding within the third-person shooting. And I knew that the first moment that the game tried to make me kill the hitman who killed my character, Aiden Pierce's niece, during a robbery that the oh-so-good vigilante were going through some bank. So yeah, let me just stop right there and go through all of it and say that Watch Dogs is an alright game. It's not like a, oh my god, it's a showstopper, a game of the year contender sort of game, or that, oh, it's a dog, like, overhyped dog piece of shit that it is. I just think it's an alright game. Now, too much hype building over it kind of destroyed a lot of the enthusiasm that I had with this game immediately once I played like the first 5 hours or so. But at least look for the good and the positives with this game. Now, let me go for the storyline of this game, because that's the weakest part for the game, for me at least. Now, the storyline goes like this. You, as a hacker, Aiden Pierce, from the beginning of the game, try to hack in some kind of bank, I believe, from like this mob boss in Chicago, but then that heist kind of fails, you escape, but then, through misfortunes comes about, your niece gets the crossfire and she immediately gets killed. You vow vengeance and you try to find whoever is your killer, and throughout this conspiracy that finds within itself throughout the city of Chicago. And that's the basic plot that I even remember, because the characters are so cliched, they're so boring as hell, and they are just unmemorable as all hell. Okay, maybe not unmemorable for Pierce, because the only thing you're going to remember out of Pierce is his stupid Christopher Nolan, like, gruff voice for Batman, his coat, and his smartphone. That's the only thing you're going to remember out of this character. He's boring, he's one note, and he has cliched-ass lines like, don't forget yourself, Claire, or whatever the hell, mind you. He's just boring as hell. And the character that he meets, like his sister and his sister's like son or whatever, they're just boring as hell. The only character, okay, maybe one. The only character that I could think of that I actually like is, oh lord, I can't even remember his name. He's kind of like this suave kind of guy who, partners up with like Pierce throughout like the entirety of the game until, spoiler alert, in the end he's not. But just I'm not gonna spoil it that much, but just in case I want to go out of. So that's just basically what I remember out of the plot. It's just cookie cutter hacking material that Hollywood can just basically shout out his ass, and then the plot contradicting what you do throughout the game itself, like Aiden Pierce, throughout the storyline goes that you are protecting the people of Chicago from the terrible, dark secrets that lurk from these higher-ups, from the mob bosses to the political party, like the mayor of Chicago or whatever. But yet, once you immediately take control of Pierce, you then have the ability to hack into people's phones, take their credit card info, listen to their conversations and text messages, and you can go through the camera, spy on people, and stuff like that. That's not my kind of definition of a hero, and not the kind of storyline that goes well from how you, the player, can contradict it. So it's kind of hypocritical in how it goes from the storytelling it is. And from, you know, Act 1 to Act 5, it was kind of a chore, having like this uninteresting villain like Damien just fucking with you all the time, and then Act 5 being annoying as hell. The storyline is just a disaster for me, at the very least, and if they are gonna make a sequel, which we all know how Ubisoft is with big franchises and how much this game sold, we're gonna see Watch Dogs 2 probably 2 years or next year. Just saying. Maybe they're gonna be an announcement at E3. Just saying. Putting it out there. So anyhow, story mode is a disaster, it's boring, cookie cutter cliche as all hell. Main character uninteresting as hell. The only thing you're going to remember is his outfit and the phone that he uses. That's about it. So yeah, storyline aside, let's go for the graphics, because that's one thing that a lot of people are saying a lot of bullshit to Ubisoft. Now, if you saw the E3 2012 debut of Watch Dogs, you've seen how the graphics look fantastic. They look beautiful as hell, and you just doubt yourself that, oh my god, this can't run like on the PS4 or Xbox One. Well, as many videos on YouTube can contest, the game's graphics from the final product, even on PC with max settings, does not even look closely resembles the E3 2012 debut trailer. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm still dumbfounded as to why they still continue this bullshit. This is just something that I absolutely hate with companies nowadays. Like Aliens, Colonial Marines, and all this other kind of stuff. It just gets annoying as hell. But yeah, going out of that gripe of the graphics not looking exactly like it did when it first showed to us, the game's graphics are alright. When it's at nighttime, the game's next-gen look on the next-gen machines like the PS4, from what I've played the version on, it looks fantastic as hell. Now granted, there's still textures that are like flat as hell, but for the most part, once it rains, it then becomes beautiful. But at daytime, it just looks like GTA 5. Oh no, not GTA 5. Between GTA 4 and GTA 5 from what the graphics look. But once, like, you know, the sunset or sunlight hits you in the daytime, it kind of looks next-gen. But overall, despite the graphics not looking up par from what we saw at E3 2012, the game's art style, this glitchy, hacky sort of, you know, art style really does make the game different from open world games like GTA and the Mercenaries games or whatever the hell that you can think of for open world games. Like the style of how you go through like these electrical fence to go through these puzzles, and then go through like the camera, all these glitchy, and there's this one part of the cutscene, and now you see this flashback of him seeing like his niece dying, this whole glitchy effect. I kind of like that. That's one thing that this game really does have going for it. The graphics may not be on par to what we were seen or shown, but the art style that it does have from the glitchy, hacky sort of thing, it does the job done. It does it good. Maybe a 7 out of 10. Maybe out of that. So yeah, storyline, cookie cutter, boring as all hell, graphics. It looks better in the dark. And the art style is good. So yeah, going out of this side, let's talk about the gameplay. And this is something that I'm mixed with personally. For one thing, from how we were shown of the game and how Ubisoft was advertising Watch Dogs, and how you can just basically go through the game, or basically go through the city of Chicago with just your smartphone and being able to hack through the cameras, being able to, you know, use technology in your advantage over your enemies. And while you can do that in the game, you really don't need to. And why you don't really need to? Because you have the power of your assault rifle, your pistols, and your bombs. Because this game is a third-person shooter with hacking mechanics coded in to make itself different. And to be honest, from the moment that I was in like these, you know, side mission, gain, warfare kind of missions, the side mission itself, I really didn't need to use any of the cameras. I didn't really need to use any destructing comms. Didn't need to explode the enemy. I could just use my guns, and I get no punishment for it. Unless, of course, I'm outside of that mission and then the cops get on my ass, which is something I need to talk about later on. But even with that aside, and even if you don't really need to use hacking that much to get through, these places, throughout the story mode, hacking mechanics are a must to proceed through the storyline. And the hacking abilities are simplistic as hell, streamlined, and while it is nice to go, through it, overall, it just seems too easy. Like, really? To go through driving throughout the city of Chicago, and then tapping, like, the square button in order to neutralize, like, the cop's car, it just seems too easy as all hell. And stuff like that. What would it be? What would it be outside of the whole thing? Alright, the driving mechanics, they're alright. And, oh yeah, let me go at them. The police chases are goddamn annoying in Watch Dogs. Like, take any open world game like Grand Theft Auto, right? You're able to shoot at anybody in your car. You can't do that in Watch Dogs. Why? Because you have your smartphone. Using your smartphone to be able to disrupt, like, the lights, being able to disrupt, like, these pillars coming out of the ground, and disrupting, like, pipes coming out of the ground to, to neutralize your cops, neutralize the cop itself. It really is annoying to not being able to have the ability to use your gun to be able to shoot at the cop, because there will be moments in the single player and in multiplayer that you will be so freaking aggravated that you can't even just turn around when there's like 3 to 4 cops on your ass, and yet you can't even shoot them unless you get out of the car, and then by the time you do so, you get shot and then you die. That's the most annoying part about this game. You cannot shoot at the cops when you're in the car driving. You have to get out of your car, go in some cover, pretend you're like some Marcus Phoenix, and then shooting at everybody else. Like any other third-person open-world shooter. But anyway, with all that aggravation aside, the gameplay is mixed for me. The third-person shooting is alright. It does the job done. It may not be something that I want to, especially from how I want to be able to hack through anything and not, kill anybody, not even use my gun once in a storyline mission. That's something that I absolutely was kind of disappointed with, is that this is a third-person shooter with hacking coded in to make itself look different, despite the fact that it's not really that different. So, yeah. And there's, like, certain mini-games throughout the game, like, you're able to drive through this apocalyptic, wasteland of Chicago, being, like, this giant spider slayer, like, going over the city of Chicago. Those mini-games were more fun to me than the actual story modes in the game. And that's bad. When I had more fun with your mini-games than the story mode itself. That's something you should not have anybody go over with. No. So yeah, all that mumbling aside, is Watch Dogs a good game? Well, it depends on what you were expecting of Watch Dogs. If you were expecting something different from GTA or any of the other third-person shooters out the market, well, you're going to be disappointed and you might hate this game. But if you're someone who at least didn't have that much hype with this game, went over it and got a little bit disappointed, but at least saw some good out of it, like the third-person shooting being alright, and being able to, use a little bit of the hacking in your advantage, the game will certainly be good for you. For me, it's in the middle. It could be like an okay, alright, average game, to say the least. Now, did this game deserve the amount of copies that it sold? No. Honestly, I don't believe that so. It should have sold like 500,000 or so. That's just me personally. But overall, Watch Dogs is an alright game. Don't have too much expectation for it, and just look at it as GTA with hacking in it. That's all.